There are so many identifying with church hurt, religious hurt, or some kind of hurt that they have faced in their past or present because of certain leaders and institutions connected to religious organizations. Or so many millennials untying themselves from a certain religion. So when you have this religious hurt, how do you navigate it? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 4 of the Courage to Identify podcast with me, your host, Sharon Angel. Today, we're going to talk about religious hurt. Religious hurt has become a thing of the present. When we become more aware of our faith, of our belief system, and our core values, there are so many identifying with church hurt, religious hurt, or some kind of hurt that they have faced in their past or present because of certain leaders and institutions connected to religious organizations. So today we're going to talk about what is this hurt and how do you navigate hurt and move on to have a better standard of living. In this generation, people are leaving the church or a religious organization they are affiliated with because there are so many scandals that they hear about, many misconceptions, many misunderstandings that they hear about, or have misunderstandings themselves with these leaders of these organizations, and step away and have some boundaries, or having some boundaries to say, this is enough, I need to go and deal with this, and even take some time to heal from the hurt that they have faced. So when religious hurt is becoming a thing and we're questioning how to navigate it, should I leave the church? Should I stay in the church? Should I continue to be affiliated with this religious organization? Let's take a look into religion by itself. Is religion still popular? Is religion still a thing? And are people still affiliating themselves with a particular religion, whether it is circumstantial to their culture or not? So research shows that 24% of teens say religion is important to them versus 43% adults, and a growing number of them identify as spiritual but not religious. A study by Barna Group shows that millennials are the most religiously unaffiliated generation, but 74% of millennials believe that God exists. So we do understand that there is a God. We do understand that there is a supernatural power or a creative power as to how and why this world is, this earth, the universe is functioning. But because of so many things that we see, so many things that we hear, there are so many millennials untying themselves from a certain religion. So in this episode, specifically because of my background and what I know, I am going to talk about the Christian religion specifically, where some context can be taken for religion as a whole and can be deciphered and can be taken for religious hurt in many other communities as well. So when you have this religious hurt, how do you navigate it? Number one, where is your allegiance? It's important to ask yourself, what or who are you affiliated with? The God of the religion, or the person, the priest, the pastor who is delivering that religion or is conveying values of that religion to you? Now, when it comes to your religion, your personal faith and your belief system, I believe it is important for you to have personal responsibility to build your faith, build your belief system, build your core values. Now, it is always good to listen to someone who has prior experience, who has deep knowledge, who has had multiple experiences where they share or translate a scripture in a certain way. To listen to them, to hear them, to understand scripture, God, and the belief system and faith is very good. But to follow your own faith or cultivate your own faith, it's important that you decipher what is good for you, where your core values are. Now, as we live in a community, we live in a society, I believe that we all have different shared experiences and we have different lived experiences. So what I mean by it is coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, the way we are raised, we all experience different things in life. And these lived experiences and shared experiences, they cultivate our values, they cultivate our belief systems, and they tend to change over time depending on what we have gone through. So when we focus on one leader or one spokesperson for the religion itself, or a priest or a pastor for the religion itself, then we tend to not include our lived experiences and our shared experiences to be able to build our core values and build our core beliefs. So I believe it is our own responsibility to build relationship with God, in this case, in my case at least, build relationship with Christ, and not have an intermediary or depend on an intermediary to cultivate your faith, cultivate your belief system. I am going to say that when we start off, when we are new believers or when we are new in the faith, it's important to ask someone for advice or go to someone to ask questions. But I don't think individual faith should depend on another person, especially when it is building relationship with God. So when it comes to building your faith and finding your core values, have the courage to understand that your belief system or your core values might be different from people who are familiar to you, to your loved ones, and to the people around you. So how do you test your allegiance, whether it's in person or to God? It is very important to understand your personal responsibility. Number one, take personal responsibility of your own faith. Number two, define your core values. Number three, allow yourself to change your beliefs as you go through life, as you have different experiences. Allow yourself to be able to navigate these beliefs. And four, be courageous to stand for faith, stand on your own faith independently. Now, the second part of addressing religious hurt is listening to the voice of the godless. It is very important when it comes to our faith, when it comes to religion, and when it comes to building our belief system. It's important to hear the right voices so they don't influence you in the wrong way. Now, with religious hurt, it's becoming a trend to renounce all religion, renounce all faith, or to call oneself agnostic, atheistic, and even call oneself spiritual but not religious. I've had multiple conversations with my friends, and sometimes with my friends, when people say they're spiritual but not religious, we tend to joke about it and say, what kind of spirit, what kind of spiritual and not religious? Even though it's funny, we tend to take it in a lighthearted way. It's very important. The crux of what I'm trying to say is it's important to hear the right voices or listen to voices that influence you in a positive way. I'm not sure if spiritual but religious is a trend, is a way of life that we have brought about in our generation to kind of take the easy way out. I'm not sure. But to address it further, I also think that renouncing religion completely or calling ourselves a specific group or identifying ourselves with a specific group might not be helpful to all parties of that group. And why I say this is there are people who are deeply hurt, whether physically, spiritually, emotionally, or mentally. They are deeply hurt by the religious leaders themselves, not because of the religion, not because of God, but by the religious leaders manipulating or sharing scripture in a way that is self-serving. So in order for these individuals to heal, in order for these individuals to have the respect that they deserve for their hurt, it's also important that we don't make this a trend and don't take it in a loose way, take it lightly to say, oh, I'm not religious. I'm not affiliated with that religion, but I will call myself a different thing because I don't want to be associated with scandal, the misunderstanding, and all the negative things that are being told about that religion. So be very wise, be cautious as to how you represent yourself so that you don't disrespect the religion and you don't disrespect the people who are actually hurt and are trying to find some kind of healing, some kind of clarity so that they can move on. Another point I want to address is cancel culture specific to religion or religious institutions. Now, my thought with this is when a religious institution or an organization is identified as, we don't want them anymore, we don't need them anymore, they did this, this, and that, so they should be completely canceled. We need to be very clear and informed as to why the internet is canceling them, or the group of people online or around them is canceling them. Yes, there are certain institutions or certain organizations that are harmful, but not all. And why I say this is cancel culture is becoming a huge thing in the religious space. When a person or a leader who is representing that organization does something wrong, then people online or people around them tend to cancel the entire organization or the entire institution. I believe that if they have really done the wrong, one, we need to examine that for sure. If they have really done the wrong, then they need to be held accountable, whatever in judgment or whatever needs to be done, needs to be done. On the other side, if this institution and organization is coming to light for public opinion, for public scrutiny, we also need to ask, how did they come to that level? What made them so public and what made them so out in the open for everyone to see? And follow up with that question, we also need to ask, are people being benefited by their services? Are there people who are still getting the services that they claim to offer, that they claim to benefit, have beneficiaries in the organization? And if there are beneficiaries in these organizations, let's say you go ahead and you want to cancel the organization, who is going to come to help these beneficiaries? If they are getting long-term care, long-term support, who is going to step in to help these beneficiaries? These are crucial questions that we need to ask before we go on and cancel people online and cancel people in real life, because these religious institutions serve a purpose, or they claim to serve a purpose. I know we can become very skeptical. I know we can become harsh. We can become negative because it's easy to do that. But when there are beneficiaries in this institution, one, we need to ask, who is going to help them? Who is going to step in and support them or give them the care that they need? And this is why I'm skeptical of those who completely walk away from religion and don't want to listen to any pastors or preachers, because I do see value in experienced theologians and experienced pastors sharing their take on scripture. I've also made it a point to listen to many women preachers and many women pastors because their perspective has been different from a lot of the male pastors that I've been listening to. So I hope that tip helps. And the who, what, when, where of your understanding your faith is very important, because that is what will give you the power to be able to decipher religion for yourself, decipher faith for yourself, your particular faith for yourself. And having this power, having this individual power is what will allow you to construct your faith in a way that will go deep and will sustain you for many, many years of your life. So yes, you have power to construct your belief systems, but that also comes with personal responsibility. So listen in doses, hear in doses, and also have a whole perspective of your belief system, of your religion, so you can allow your roots to go deep when it comes to your faith and exercise that power in a responsible way. And two, on the other side, we as counselors, we do need community as well. We do need a place to go and find people who belong to the same faith, who share the same values, who share the same belief systems as we do. So that one, we can not only have people who have the same mindset as us, but also that's where we find our friendships. That's where we find our accountability partners. And having people in our lives who share the same faith as us, share the same values as us, is actually edifying to the personal, the individual. So before you go ahead and cancel these institutions, and before you go ahead and say, I do not want to have anything to do with the religion, ask yourself a few of these questions. Take a step back, and one of the biggest questions that you need to ask is, am I hurt by the person who represents this religion, or am I hurt by the God who is the representer of this religion? Because I do not believe that God tends to hurt you. I do not believe that God will send things or allow things or punish you just for the sake of it. You will go through experiences to grow, to learn, to have a deeper relationship with God. But God will not punish you or hurt you intentionally. And if the leaders have caused you harm, my heart goes out to you. And I hope and wish and pray that you will take the time to decipher what really happened. I know it might be hard to live through the pain again, to go through the grief and the loss that the experience caused you, but God did not do it to you. So I ask that you give God a second chance and heal, think through, realize, and go through a journey that will allow you to come out of that hurt and become a better person in the journey. Now, a final note about religion and religious hurt. Deconstruction is becoming increasingly popular. Deconstruction of faith is becoming increasingly popular. And while it is good to analyze your faith, while it is good to be curious, ask questions, and tell yourself, I used to associate myself with all of these belief systems, now I don't, it is important to also reconstruct as you are deconstructing your faith, which means construction of new beliefs and confronting yourself and having those convictions to say, I believe those things because someone else told me to and not because I really wanted to. And to also have reconstruction in the way of, now I believe differently, now I will live differently, now I will associate myself with different aspects of the religion because that's where my convictions lie. So when it comes to deconstruction of faith, know that construction and reconstruction of faith must go hand in hand so that you can have a well-rounded faith and also stronger faith so that other people or outside factors won't influence you or cause you that hurt and harm anymore. And before I wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with these questions. Does religion influence your identity, or does the God and relationship with God of this religion influence your identity? I think this question will help you navigate the questions, the doubts, the turmoil that you have with religion. I have had so much fun, an adventure going through my faith, my belief systems, my value systems, and asking these questions, being curious and going on this journey to listen to different perspectives, read so many books, to listen to different podcasts and sermons and visit different churches has definitely deepened my faith, I think it has deepened my relationship with Christ. And I hope you will also have the courage to go on this journey because it is an adventure which will deepen your faith and it will just open your mind to so many different things that will be like an aha moment or cause you epiphanies to say, why didn't I think of this before? I just feel so much at peace, so much happiness, and so much joy now that I have found this epiphany when it comes to religion and faith. So I wish you all the best as you go on this journey. Write in the comment section below answering this question. Does religion influence your identity, or does God and relationship with God influence your identity? This has been a blast bringing this episode to you. If you want to follow me on social media and see what I've been up to in my life, go on to SharonAngel.com. This is Season 4 of the Courage to Identify podcast with me, your host, Sharon Angel, and I will talk to you soon.